Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I titled this message on searching for a job, making money scams. On searching for a job, making money scams. Those of you all who have been on this channel for quite some time, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for your encouragement in the comment section. It is very much appreciated. Those of you all who have given in the past, also, we appreciate you. And those who have yet to give, we do welcome giving on this channel. Let's start off by talking about jobs. Some of you all are currently working and you are also looking for a second source of income. The problem, though, is that if you don't have enough time to dedicate to looking for that second source of income, you will come across your share of scams and you may be scammed. If you haven't been looking for jobs for a long time, it can be difficult to determine whether something is legitimate or not. I took a look over at the FTC.gov website, that's the Federal Trade Commission on Consumer Information, Jobs and Making Money. And what I found was quite a bit of helpful information on job scams. They provide examples of job scams, how to avoid a job scam, tips for finding a job, what to do if you paid a scammer, report job scams to the FTC. Now, I need to brush some people up on what these scams look like nowadays. The work from home job scams, some of those you may be already familiar. These are the reshipping scams. This is where you're searching for a job online. You see some positions advertised. And it could be for quality control managers, virtual personal assistants, things like that. You're all excited, right? Oh, I found a job or a second source of income or a third source or what have you, okay? Once they tell you that you're hired, for some of these companies, they're going to talk about you receiving packages at home. And they're going to give you some instructions on what to do with these packages. Okay. And so for some individuals, they think because, it's a name brand, electronic or what have you, this must be, a pretty good opportunity. But what happens is that reshipping any item anywhere, discarding the packaging, holding on to the receipts or doing something with the receipts, and then putting the package in a new package. No, all of that is not a real job and unfortunately is a scam. Reselling merchandise scams, this is where you'll answer an ad online and it's for, once again, something that is a brand name item, okay? And they want you to sell these products for a lesser price, or I should say, you get them for a lesser price and then they sell them for a higher price, or you sell them for a higher price. But the thing is that after you've paid for the product never shows up. Okay? We are going to give you X amount of items to sell and it never shows up. Okay? Now those scams are pretty obvious, but there are those scams that aren't so obvious. You have answered what looks like a legitimate ad on a website for a job, and you're excited about it. And then what happens is that you almost immediately get phone calls, or they send you a text, or they send you an email. And they say that John Doe wants to interview you, but you're going to need to go to this site or that one, or this app or that app to download. And then you're going to befriend or connect with John Doe. And then John Doe is going to be the one who interviews you. But what ends up happening is that there's some other offers along the way, some things that they want you to do John Doe isn't necessarily going to hire you. He just wants to get as much information from you so that he can use your information to do any number of things. As we very well know, if someone is paying $25, $35, $40+ an hour for a job, and that job seems to be too good to be true, or typically that particular position does not pay that high, it's safe to say that someone is up to no good. Some company, so-called company, is up to no good, okay? So you want to check to see what's the average salary for that particular position, what sorts of benefits and things, and you'll go to legitimate websites to do your research to find out. And usually you'll find out that that too good to be true position is paying considerably less. We're talking about $10 and $15 less than what this person bragged to you about, or sent you a letter or a text or whatever they chose to use to play games. Okay? At the end of the day, to play games. You see, we're not just about walking with the one true God, praying, fasting, reading scriptures, meditating, or just sitting down in the quiet of the day with the one true God in his presence. But we are also about utilizing what we've learned in the spiritual realm and applying that to this worldly foolishness, exposing it, okay, not falling for it. And even if you do, you brush yourself off, you get back up again, and you're just a little bit more smarter and wiser as a result, you see. Always research these names that they give you, okay? Usually there's going to be, some of the better scammers are going to have a name somewhere. Whether they utilize that person who's a real person and incorporated their name in an email. And then you find out that the company that is online may be a legitimate company, but they're not affiliated with whoever reached out to you, okay? The person's name that they use seemed to be so broad, so you research and you research some more, and that person's name is not affiliated with the company, okay? So you're dealing with your share of scammers out there, and you've got to be vigilant. You've got to do your research. You can't go along with the email and just the email alone, okay? Trust you me, the companies are not just looking at resumes. They're also putting our names in websites, okay? And they are forming their judgments in terms of who we're going to be to them. They're assuming whether right or wrong about you before they even consider interviewing you, okay? They want every website to be checked with your name, with your photo. So you should be doing the same thing for these companies. I'm going to check every website. I'm going to see who these people are. I'm going to go so far as to check social media sites as well. They do it to us. We do it to them, you see. And we make sure that we cross our T's and we dot our I's. No sense in signing any type of onboarding document if you haven't done your research fully. Because, of course, within the first few pages, a company is going to put their best information out there, right? And, of course, they don't want you clicking on, their websites or, checking Better Business Bureau or the Consumer Protection Agencies, the State Attorney General's office. They don't want you doing all that to see what people have said about the companies, but that's what we're doing. And in this way, when you do these sorts of things, you're not going to be disappointed once you're hired. Because, hey, we can save each other some time early on. I can already see that there's going to be an issue or two or three or four. And if the management is not open for change or suggestions, and it's clearly indicated by people who have worked for that company, such as on Glassdoor, then it's safe to say that you popping in talking about what you're going to do to change and rearrange and is not going to be well received. You tend to know what a company's culture, dare we say it, right? Their culture is like when you look at all the photographs of who they've hired. Come on. When you look at the reviews, not everybody is a disgruntled employee that just has an axe to grind. Some of these individuals, they'll say positive things, but they'll also say, beware of this and beware of that. One other thing that I've noticed, especially once again looking for jobs, is that some of this email correspondence is very unprofessional. There's some typos, there's some grammatical errors, there's some formatting that is just not consistent. Okay, so it's safe to say, once again, we're dealing with someone most likely overseas, international type of scam that is going on. We also don't see contact information in a lot of these scam emails, okay? I get all sorts of scam emails, and some of my emails ended up being nothing more than junk collectors because of the foolishness that people were putting out there. And then, of course, we have other signs that we want to look out for when it comes to scams. There are these vague job requirements. I'm looking for who, I'm looking for what, I'm looking for when, I'm looking for how, right? I'm looking for where. If I'm not getting any of those questions answered, I'm not interested, okay? I'm not interested. And the interviews, why are we doing just an interview via instant chat? How come I'm not able to talk to someone? Then, in some cases, you're able to talk to someone. And when you're talking to this person, they still seem quite vague in terms of answering your questions. So you're vague in your job description, you're vague in the conversation, or maybe you provide a little bit more detail than other scammers, right? Some of you all, you've come across this sort of thing. And then you do a little research and you find out that this individual is not real. The job is real, but that person who called you is not affiliated with that company, you see. And they shouldn't be asking you any personal questions that have nothing to do with the job. You know, I don't like some of those companies who they will ask you something to kind of test your mindset a bit, your intellectual, way of processing information. So they'll ask you some, question about your hobbies or favorite colors, or you don't need to do that. Avoid all of that because you're looking like a scammer. And that's why some companies, they're like, I can't seem to get the best candidates. Well, you got goofy job descriptions. You've got just unrealistic things that you want people to do. Way too much information, way too many responsibilities. You've got 3 job titles in one, and you want someone to be the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, and you're hoping that they won't burn out, and you're hoping that they're going to last past a year or two. And it doesn't happen. High turnover. You see, you've got interviewers that have even been so bold as to ask for money and credit cards and PIN numbers and things like that. Why in the world would a so-called legitimate company be asking you for all sorts of financial information? Okay. Some companies, and I've talked about this in past audio, please do check out some of the audio that I did on MLMs. It's just unreal, the things that people will come up with to get you to go along with their programming and eventually get your money. Meanwhile, you don't make what they make. They say, I'm making $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 a year. Yeah. And they're not telling you that they're working every day, all day, all hours of the night, scamming all sorts of people promising them the sun, the moon, and the stars, you see. So there is going to be some ethics and some moral compromising when you deal with some of these companies that, yeah, they're beasts, all right, when it comes to making money. But are you willing to sell your soul? You got some of these companies that are telling you that you're going to have to get certain software in order to do their jobs, but you've got to pay for it. Sometimes they want you to download a software, and that software has all sorts of computer bugs and viruses to get information from you. Okay. There is, once again, information that they're asking for that you're saying, why so soon? That you need my SS number, my home address, my banking information. You see, what's up? Some will even guise themselves as being part of the HR team. Okay, watch out for that. And then, of course, you're asking them those questions, right? The who, the what, the when, the where, the how, the why. You're asking detailed questions, and they are just going around and around with you. They're not answering, or they're, digressing. They're hoping that you won't come back to that question. That's all scam types of behavior, okay? So if they can't answer questions, if you can't find information to follow up with, and then even if you do find information, once again, it's very easy for people to fill out forms online to look like they're legitimate people. So you're going to get those individuals who, if you're looking for these second sources of income, who are going to reach out to you via those job boards. And they're not necessarily going to be individuals that are legitimate, even though the emails look like they're legitimate, the text message and anything else that they use. If you're offered the position immediately, it is, once again, safe to say that it is a scam. Okay. Wow, barely interviewed and already got the job. Now, there are those companies out there that they want you to just show up on site, right? You filled out the forms. They're ready, to work with you. They want you to show up on site. When you show up on site, you should be working. When you show up on site, you should be seated with someone, who has a name that you can research, right? You can do a background check on. You can, get an investigator if you have to. And they should be paying you. By law, they should be paying you if you're expected to show up immediately to start work. And they should be getting information from you that proves that you are who you are. But you should also have some information from them as well. So, there's a lot of stuff that's going on out here. And you've got to pay close attention, once again, to those reviews, those negative experiences. You see, you got so much of this calling everything a conspiracy and all this bad mouthing, right? That goes on when people expose companies, when they expose, foolish news, right? When they connect the dots in terms of what some of these secret societies and organizations and so forth are up to. And then there's those who say, oh no, that's not really happening. And oh, I'm sorry that happened to you, but that didn't happen to me, and on and on and on. But a lot of times that one who is hyping the company up or hyping the individual up may be in cahoots with the scammer, you see. So you have a gut feeling, right? Some folks call it, the conscience. They call it their angels. They talk about God. Whatever your gut feeling is, whatever you call your gut feeling, it is there to give you those red flag warning signs. If you want to take a look at this information that I just shared with you, it is available in detail 15 Signs of Online Interview Scams, March 18th, 2021. The article was written by the Indeed editorial team. We're also going to take a look at the Better Business Bureau, okay? For some folks who have already been scammed, if you have not contacted your local Better Business Bureau, you should. You should also contact the State Attorney General's office and also Consumer Protection Agency. You should put a bank fraud alert on any money that has been exchanged, and you should also contact the police, the non-emergency line, and file a report on that company, okay? So there are things that can be done. Now, when we visit Better Business Bureau, it is pretty easy to use the website. You can email them, you can call them. So it's not, difficult. That's going to be bbb.org, bbb.org, and that's B as in boy, right? 3 times, 3 B's. Okay, so reading from the site, it says many people are now searching for work. If you are looking for employment, beware of scam job postings, fake recruiter emails, and work-at-home schemes. What I would suggest is that when you're doing searches, especially on companies that you're like, I suspect that this is a shady company, put in the name of that company that is listed in that fake email, and then put in fake recruiter emails in the search engine and see what comes up. Same thing when it comes to work at home, put in that company and then put in work at home schemes. And then, of course, scam job postings, put in the name of the company that they're using, as well as scam job postings. Sometimes these companies will start off on a career board with one particular name, right? Then they'll send you an email, and then there's a different name. And then let's say you check your text message, and then there's a different name. And they may call all at once, very close together. Sometimes there'll be different names that they've used, but it still has the same ring to it. The email is still, pretty similar to the first 2 or 3 or 5 scam emails that you received. Okay. So you've got those help wanted ads that are out there, but then you also got legitimate career boards that they will use. There's also the Hangouts, the video chat services that are out there. Of course, like I said, the apps to download to talk to you on, so you've got so many different ways to communicate with these individuals. If you want to save yourself some time, some money, some heartache, what have you, just don't even agree to be interviewed along with a group. One particular interview that I had not that long ago, the individual had brought all of us on board to interview. So I thought, but instead they were recording the presentation with our faces on it. So if anything should arise in the future, that particular company will be hit with a lawsuit. There was nothing that was signed saying that it was okay to record any of us that were present for that particular presentation. So dangerous to be doing that sort of thing. If you're recruiting candidates or what have you, if you are, wanting people, let's say you're a legitimate business and you're wanting people to come, and be a part of something, don't record people's faces, especially without them not knowing it. Stick with whatever you have that you created yourself and record that, but you have no business recording people's faces. And this sort of thing is what some of these companies will do because they want to show that, well, this person's on board and that one's on board, and no. So what else? There are some things that Better Business Bureau mentions about some positions are more likely to be scams. Always be wary of work from home And as we mentioned, package reshipment and secret shopper positions, as well as any job with a generic title such as caregiver, administrative assistant, or customer service rep. Positions that don't require special training or licensing appeal to a wide range of applicants. See, no experience necessary, right? We'll train you. What are some other things that I've seen? We'll pay you for licensing, or, whatever. Just be mindful of who's posting that sort of thing up. Scammers know this and use these otherwise legitimate titles in their fake ads. If the job posting is for a well-known brand, check the real company's job page to see if the position is posted there. Look online if the job comes up in other cities with the exact same post. It's likely a scam. Different procedures should raise your suspicion. Any sort of pressure to sign or onboard is a red flag, right? Oh, we need to hear from you like within the next 2 or 3 days, or we're going to move on to, another candidate. Why the rush? I found out that even with legitimate companies that do this sort of thing, I understand that they have a timeline in terms of getting everyone on board. And yeah, if you already had time to sleep on it, then you should have an idea of whether or not you want that job. But when you got someone who's pressuring you, and then, you find out once you are hired, oh, this is the reason, right? And that reason could be because they have high turnover, right? Because they just don't have a good business model. Because a lot of people have complained, and there's numerous lawsuits or threats of lawsuits going on, you see. So, of course, they have a pressure. They want you more than you want them. So that might be a red flag for you to keep it moving, even if it is a legitimate company. Okay. So watch out for on-the-spot job offers. You may be an excellent candidate for the job, but beware of offers made without an interview. A real company will want to talk to a candidate before hiring. And I will tell you that the more money that you're asking for, the more people you got to talk to. Okay? So if those other folks aren't 100% convinced or like you, or they got reservation with you or what have you, then of course they're not going to go along, with you. But yeah, more money, more people involved. A real company, once again, will want to talk to a candidate before hiring. Be careful if a company promises you great opportunities for a big income under the condition, check this out, that you pay for coaching, training, certifications, or directories. And that sort of thing happened as well. Like, we are going to do this, that, and the other for you, one particular company was saying. But then once we get the job, for you, then you will start paying us back. Okay, that's all fine and dandy. But then I took a look to see how many years companies typically expected for that role that I was considering. And I said, so if I get the training, I've checkmarked everything, did what I was supposed to, I still need at least 4 years in order to make the kind of money that particular company was bragging that they could get me. You see? So when these companies say that sort of thing, okay, that's good, but you need to find out that once you're done with the program, what do employers typically ask for in terms of experience? So is it worth it? You see? And nowadays, a lot of these employers, their positions are staying open for a long time because they want all these people who have 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 years experience doing things. But, for the money that they're paying, you're not going to get those people that have that sort of experience, not for long. They might just need to pay a bill or two, or pay something off, but they're not intending on staying for those wages, you see. So I want all these years of experience, but I'm not willing to pay somebody above $15 an hour. That's insane. But we got people who are doing just that. We got companies that are doing that. So to me, that in and of itself is a scam, okay? Is trying to find people for bargain basement discount, bringing them in, giving them a bunch of different things that they're supposed to be doing, and then expecting them to be happy working there. Scam in and another scam. So another point is Better Business Bureau has here is never deposit unexpected or fishy checks. Be cautious sharing any kind of personal information, including your banking and credit cards, or accepting any kind of prepayment. Don't fall for an overpayment scam. No legitimate job would ever overpay an employee and ask for money to be wired elsewhere. Now, that sort of thing, that overpayment of an employee, that may happen if you're already with the company and you got somebody new in payroll. But otherwise, no, that sort of thing. Government agencies post all jobs publicly and freely. The U.S. and Canadian federal governments and the U.S. Postal Service, Canada Postal Service never charge for information about jobs or application for jobs. Be wary of any offer to give you special access or guarantee you a job for a fee. If you are paying for the promise of a job, it's probably a scam. Ain't that the truth? Okay. Back in the day when I was young and naive about a lot of things, I'm going to put my hand up and say, yes, I was scammed. I was sitting there thinking, oh, this is great. I'm going to be able to get this great thing in the mail. And it turned out that it wasn't a brand name. It was something cheap. Or, oh, this is going to be a good job opportunity. And it turns out that they wanted everybody to show up. And that company was real, but the monies that was promised was unreal, and not in a good way either, So it was just a lot of foolishness over the years. And I just see it circling back around again because so many people are looking for extra money, during these tough times where companies are getting rid of folks left and right because they won't go along with programming, governmental programming, that is. And some of you all know what I'm talking about. And then lastly, get all details and contracts in writing, right? Because we want to sue some people later on. We definitely want to do that. Like, listen, you promised me the sun, the moon, and the stars. So therefore, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get that lawsuit going. We're going to lawyer up. We're going to make sure that you're not going to do this to anyone else. Okay. A legitimate recruiter will provide you with a complete contract for their services with costs, what you get, who pays you or the employer, and what happens if you do not find a job, right? But for fake people, fake establishments, what have you, they are going to draft up some things, but they're not going to be in your best interest. They're going to sound one-sided because they are one-sided, okay? It's about what they can get from you, not necessarily what they can do for you. I thank you as always for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. We do welcome giving on this channel, and we are not a scam. We have definitely been helping people out over the years with these audio messages. You listen to the audio, you got value. And if you feel so moved to give, then you do. And that's that, right? Thank you. Thank you once again to all of you all who've been listening. And all the best to you.